Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of The Inner Estate. I am here today with the incredible Jonathan Leach of the Jonathan Leach Home Team. And Jonathan and I are going to talk today about credibility-based leadership and how that style of leadership can impact all areas of your business. And frankly, from our discussion, Jonathan, even your regular life. So
Sure.
Jonathan Leach, can you share with everyone, what does credibility-based leadership mean to you?
Well, for me, I would say it's really just results driven. Someone that's in the trenches, they're doing it every day. You're not just telling someone what to do, but you're actually doing it. It's a part of your life. And I feel like that's an easier way for me to lead the people on my team, when I'm there next to them every day, not just telling them what to do, but also, doing the activities together as a team.
I mean, the old school way of saying this is you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk. Like you
Also
are, you're being, doing, and leading
right
alongside everyone who's part of your organization.
And I feel like when people see that you're also, I don't want to say practice what you preach, but I mean, that's also like a terminology when they're seeing that what you tell them and you're also doing it with them, they take it more serious. They're like, yes, this actually works. Whatever activities that we're doing, to build business and to get business, they're taking that serious because if you're consistent with it, they're seeing the consistency that they get more of a buy-in and they're more likely to follow you and to, accept that as, to get success for sure.
I mean, it definitely is showing them real time that if you put in the effort and you take the actions, if Jonathan can get results, then I can too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I tell my team, it's all about consistency. Pick something in business how you want to grow your business and just be consistent with it. When you've been doing it for so long, time over task, I mean, it grows with you. So it's all about being consistent and you get the result.
Right. Well, when I think about that, so I believe you've been selling real estate in Joplin, Missouri, and Northwestern Arkansas for 15 years now.
15 years, and I started right out of high school, believe it or not. So, when I got into this business, I didn't know anyone. I was 18 years old. I had to basically start from the ground up and now we cover 4 states, but it's like I said, being consistent, picking something you like in this business. I mean, there's several ways to lead generate, of course, and just staying with it. And here it is 15 years later.
I think it's remarkable. Yeah. So you started 18, just out of high school, and you had that drive of, I'm going to make it in real estate.
Yes.
And at what point did you shift from wanting to just be that solo agent to, you know what? I want to lead and I want to expand. And I want to do that by creating success for other people. When did you decide that you wanted to become a team?
I will say it kind of grew actually by default. I feel like I was never really born a leader. I was more of a follower. But whenever I would say, so year 5, I was sitting, I think it was a career visioning class, and they were just telling us, you need to make your first hire. So that's when I decided to take the plunge and make my first, because I was doing everything. I was wearing all the different hats that you could possibly wear in this business. So it was year 5, and I was like, you know what, I really need to leverage some certain aspects of my business. And that's why I made my first hire. And then after that is when I decided to hire my first coach. So year 6, it was either year 6 or year 7, I decided to get into coaching, and that's when I hired my first coach.
Right.
Once I hired my first coach, that's when it started, like every year it was going up from there, because my coach was holding me accountable to make another hire and then another one, and then, having a buyer's agent, and then, bringing on a listing agent and a transaction coordinator. So that's when it all started changing for me. But yeah, for the first 5 years, I was actually doing everything as a solo agent.
On your own.
On my own. And I was hitting a ceiling every year. I was capping out at 50 houses a year. And I mean, what I do now, I mean, obviously what I signed up to do is to sell houses. So actually leading people isn't really what I wanted to do or prefer to do, but putting the right people in place to help lead the people in my organization is what I feel like I do best, because I don't, I have my people through coaching, but they're not all directly reporting to me. I didn't want that.
Right.
I didn't
That's
want to
right.
manage people. I put the
Right.
right person in place and they report to that person.
Exactly
So
right.
dealing with me, I'm still there with them every day. It's just I'm not the one necessarily holding them accountable daily. Even though I do in a way, it's just they don't always report to me first. If that
Well,
makes
I
sense.
think this ties in with what we're talking about today. So, you're empowering others that have more of a natural desire and skill set to manage others, to bring out the best in the people in your team. However, because you have the credibility-based leadership style that comes to you naturally, you're still showing the way. So just by showing up every day, lead generating every day, creating that customer experience that you all create for each and every client,
Exactly.
being that role model of here's how you carry yourself, here's how you communicate, then inspiring and instilling confidence in the members of the team by the way you show up as a leader.
Yes.
I think you're actually allowing them to be successful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that it is at the same time allowing you, as any rainmaker should, whether you're selling real estate or cars or electronics, I don't care what you're selling. If you're in a sales rainmaker role, you have to be focused on what's the projections, what's the pipeline, where are we towards goal, and those big key relationships and the big key opportunities, like expanding in Northwest Arkansas, and also selling your two other states, Kansas and Oklahoma, right? But so when you have the staff in place and you've empowered them as a leader to build and do what they're good at, you have your sales agents and you're in the trenches with them every day. You are the top lead generator, top lead converter. So you're inspiring and showing them how to just by doing it yourself.
Right.
I think that is what has allowed your team to expand to the point.
Yeah, for sure. And that's whenever I'm there with them every day, they can, we're all, basically we can hear the conversations, this market, the way it is, it's been challenging. And I'm actually glad it is a challenging market, because that's where I feel like you can definitely polish up on your skills.
Yes.
A lot of agents got into the business in 2020 and 2021 when it was easy. I started in 2010 when it was tough, but I was able to learn the challenges associated with a slower market, and that's what helped. And that's what's helped my agents now navigate through this, is just me helping them with the tough conversations, and it's different now. So that's,
it is different.
Yeah.
We went from, during COVID, it really turned into accessibility and speed were critical. So that was key. Those softer skills in terms of marketing and client communication and managing things were not as necessary. And now they're back. So you are correct. I do feel a small amount of sympathy for those agents that started during COVID, because they're having a very different experience right now.
Yeah.
Could you share with everyone, so when you look at your current team structure, could you share with us a little bit of who is in your world right now? So who do you have as staff and who do you have as salespeople? Give us a little insight into that.
Sure. So obviously, you have me, I'm the lead agent. I deal with mainly all the listings, and there's times where I'll work with buyers. It just depends, every scenario is different, but I have a lead buyer's agent. I have a director of operations. I have a lead buyer's agent, have four other agents that are basically able to do listings as well as buyers. I have someone that's in property management, and we have one VA currently. We're getting ready to hire a second VA to take on property management. I have a listing manager, and then we have someone that's doing our transaction to close as well.
Nice.
That's the transition to a VA role. as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's 9 of us total.
I think it's
So
great.
not a huge team. We're not a big team, but we rank up there here locally. I mean, we do quite a bit. But when I first got into this, it wasn't about building the biggest team. It's worked out. Like I said, by default, you meet people, you meet talent, and you just, well, where can I plug them into my world to help leverage and to grow the numbers and to do big
Right.
business.
Well, I would think too, with this approach that you have, that of being that I'm right in the business with everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and taking that on in a way that's very natural, I think that you would also attract talent. I would imagine your team is probably approached by outside agents curious about what you all are doing and asking if they could be a part of it.
Yeah, we do. We get people that reach out on a regular basis. I mean, they see what we do in the community. They see our numbers, and I think people are obviously gravitated towards success. And if they're seeing a team that's doing quite a bit, they're always wondering, what are they doing that could help grow my business? So we do get people that reach out from time to time, and I feel like, even though we're a small team, I feel like we've always had good, like we're close. Like
Mm-hmm.
we don't really have any turnover. People that join, they stay. My buyer's agent, she's been with me for, 7 or 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's been approached by other teams and companies even to leave. And she's like, I would be nuts to leave.
Right.
She's extremely grateful. And that's what I want. I want the people that work in my organization, even though it's small, I want them to feel appreciated. And I'm always trying to figure out what can I give my agents, because I want them to stay. How can I keep providing them value?
I think that's incredible. And so you taking that on as a leader.
Asking myself that, like, what can I do to keep people to stay, to make sure they don't leave and go on their own? So that's always a question. It's always evolving.
Right. And so you want to create a culture, a supportive environment, and the ability for people to be financially successful while they're part of your world.
Right. I want them to experience what this business has done for me.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got into this, I thought, well, if I could just make $50,000 a year, I'd be perfectly happy. And to see what, it blows my mind what this business has done well for me. I want others to experience that with me.
Right. I think it's incredible. So when you think about your leadership style, and you mentioned briefly when you were talking about starting when you were 18, that you came into it to sell homes.
Yeah.
And you didn't necessarily come into it thinking, I'm going to turn into a leader.
Right.
However, you also shared that in the first 5 years, you had reached a point where you were selling 50 homes on your own, doing all of it yourself.
Yeah, hitting a ceiling,
and hitting that ceiling.
Right.
Do you feel, in retrospect, like, because you also mentioned that you didn't necessarily have leadership skills. You said you were not a natural born leader. I'm curious. I think that you probably had the tendency to be a credibility-based leader inside of yourself. And I feel like you were leading yourself in that manner by doing all of it and hitting that ceiling and then figuring, wait, how do I get further? But I do think it's possible that those leadership skills were inside of you and you just hadn't brought them out. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
you were leading yourself.
I was, yeah. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a coach the first 5 years. Yeah, I was just, I don't want to say winging it, but I was just, I was leading myself. I was, going through like different types of courses. If you're familiar with Bold, I did that every year,
right.
And I still do it, of course, but
right.
Learning what others would do along the way. And, I had some great mentors in my life. I've had I'll always be forever grateful to my broker. She's still in the business, but she was the one that I always looked up to. She was like the number one agent in Joplin for many years. And I was just like, man, one day I want to be someone like her. And And anytime I would come into a problem or not know what to say, I would call her and say, hey, I'm dealing with something difficult. What should I say to close this deal? And
Right.
so, I did have some great mentors along the way in this business, for sure.
You know what? I'm curious. I wonder if your broker was also demonstrating that credible leadership, and if you actually were absorbing not just her support in that moment, but actually how she conducted herself, and that was inspiring you. It's really interesting when you think back on your mentors. Yeah,
it could be. It's very possible. Yeah, learning that early on.
Well, it is funny because when I think about leadership, I always think at some point we're leading ourselves first. And I do feel like when you're in alignment, when your goals are in alignment with what's truly important to you and what your real core values are, you're going to lead yourself in a much more effective manner with way less resistance. So you're going to set out things that you want to do. And instead of having to I've got to trick myself or force myself into doing it, you're actually going to want to do it. And I believe that you've accomplished that at work. I'm always curious, Jonathan, if you're willing to share. Have you seen this, and I'll just call it leadership style, have you seen it have any impact on any of your relationships outside of work? Does it trickle into your how you are personally or with your relationships or family? Or do you feel like it stays really more at that in work?
I feel like it does stay in work. Yeah, I really do. Maybe aside from the team, if I'm dealing with a client, I can see where it shows up there.
Right.
But personally, I feel like it is separate. It's almost
I feel like that makes it in some ways, if someone is starting out in their role as a leader, no matter whom they're leading, and they're thinking about with intentionality, how do they want to show up as a leader? I feel like if they look at this model, if they do some research into credible leadership and this credibility based, I think you just brought up something that is compelling about it. I feel like you can step into it naturally because you're in alignment with your values and goals and the culture of your team while you're at work. I also feel like it would allow you to then know when you're off of work. So when you go home, you can almost, it's still part of you, but you can almost set it aside and say I'm not being a leader now. Now I am being fill in the blank.
Right.
Partner, son, the uncle, whatever that role is. And you can just be present in that moment and sort of be yourself.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm saying that right because you're also yourself there, but I think it allows you to differentiate a little bit between I'm at work and I am leading people and I'm at home and I'm being a regular human. I think that it gives you that.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that. Yeah.
Which in our chosen industry, that can be difficult.
Well, a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. We have chosen an industry that tends to seep into all areas. So, well, I really want to thank you for being a guest today. When I think not just about what you've done so far with your team, but knowing that you started in 2010 as an 18-year-old and looking at what you've built so far, if anyone happens to be listening to this and you are a younger agent, please be inspired by Jonathan and what he has accomplished. Give our listeners an idea of about how many homes your team will sell this year.
So this year, we'll sell about 200. We'll sell about 200 homes. Our highest year, we did 300 one year. Our price point did go up though. So we're doing lesser units, more volume, lesser units, but our GCI will still be
around the same. Yeah, or higher, right.
So and 200 units.
And here's what's, I think, beautiful about what you've created is all 200 clients. Are they going to feel like, number 150 set of 200? Or are they going to feel like they might be your only client in the moment?
That's
right?
How we make them all feel, yes.
That's right. And I do know that. And I've had the pleasure of working with many of the members of your team, and each team member really takes that to heart. So It is, you're not selling houses, you're selling homes, and you really are connecting with those clients and giving them a great experience.
And
So if someone's out here, if they wanted to reach out to you, I'm going to put all of your contact information in the description here.
I would love to hear from anyone. Yeah. Anyone that's starting out in the business, or even someone that's just looking to change things up in their business and just need, a different perspective. But yeah, my email, you can email me. It's Jonathan @Jonathan Leach Team.
Perfect. Okay. And that too will be in the description of the podcast. Do you have any final thoughts on leadership at all, or the credibility-based leadership?
I would just say, leadership, if it doesn't come naturally, it's going to be hard. I mean, there's days it's going to be challenging, and just know that it's always evolving, and just keep going. I mean, we're all human. We all make mistakes, and just, lead with purpose, and just keep finding ways to better yourself, for sure.
You bring up a great point there, and just to wrap up that concept, when you're immersed in and committed to being a credibility-based leader, you're able to be vulnerable. So if you do drop the ball, or if you do have something that didn't go quite the way you anticipated, you're able to just show that to everyone. And you're able to say, hey, you know what, guys? Look what happened. And guess what?
Even myself. Even to this day, where I've dropped the ball, and even within the team.
Yeah.
And just being vulnerable, and just admitting that you made a mistake, and apologize. I mean, don't blame anyone else. I mean, just take full responsibility.
There's actually power in that, right? It actually is empowering when you're comfortable doing that, and then you're so much more relatable. So your team is going to see you, and you're inspiring them again of, Jonathan had that happen. He addressed it, took responsibility, came up with solutions, and made it happen. So when I just think about other types of leadership where you're a little bit more on a pedestal, those issues are harder to manage.
Right.
So,
sure.
Well, this has been really thrilling. I could talk about leadership styles all day, so we probably should wrap up. If anyone found this inspiring, I hope that you'll join us as I discuss business concepts, leadership, and sales with amazing agents all over the country. Jonathan, I really am excited for your team and selling those 200 homes this year. So get out there and make it happen. Thank you for joining us on the Inner Estate. Bye-bye.